NASCAR playoffs, one final chance to get into the Championship 4 in a date with NASCAR immortality. Good afternoon, everyone, or good evening, everyone. Good afternoon or good morning, whenever you're listening. Welcome to the Extra Mile for today, October 15th, 2020. My name is Darryl Kinsey Jr. Christopher Lehman is with me, and we're going to have a lot of fun tonight as we break down what happened at a soggy Roval, and I mean drenched Roval at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Get you ready for the round of 8 and have a conversation about Formula One and Lewis Hamilton as he ascends the ladder to become the new GOAT of the series. And of course, Bathurst 1000 is this weekend, and the V8 Supercar, the Virgin Atlantic Supercars now, had a major announcement on the future of that series. We're going to talk about all of that on today's program. We welcome in Christopher. Christopher, how are you doing? How was your week, man?
Oh, it's been busy. How have you been?
I've been well. I'm at some classes I had to deal with this week. Not that busy, thankfully, but it's about to start ramping up because now it's starting to get into the time we're going to start working towards all these final projects and stuff that we got to work on. But it is what it is. You know, master's degrees are not easy. I figured that out by now. Oh, I can't wait to get this program done with. I really am. But before we get any further, I got to thank a very special company because now at IE Sports Radio, we have a sponsor. Yes, indeed, another app company and their app, Meme Me. Ladies and gentlemen, by now we all know what memes are. Those hilarious pictures with Comic Sans font that makes us laugh, makes us think, and some of us make us say, what is wrong with the person that decided to type that out? Well, if you've ever wanted to make yourself into a meme, now you can with the Meme Me app. That is a meme maker. It lets you make, share, and discover cool memes and pictures. You can set up your own meme, snap a picture, and share it with everyone, all of your friends, all in one app. You can also upload your favorite apps and store them to share later. That is the Meme Me app. You can get that on Google Play and the Apple Store. Thank you so much to Meme Me and another app company for sponsoring IE Sports Radio and the Extra Mile. Thank you so much. I'm so excited when I got that news this morning. I really was. Shows that we're going somewhere, and they are the first of many, and thank you so much for joining us. Another series that is going somewhere fast, that is NASCAR, as we are hurtling towards the round of 8. And I'm going to be honest, Christopher, if you had told me in March we would not have missed a beat in the schedule and we'd be on time to get to the round of 8, well, one, I would have told you were crazy. Two, I would have told you we're not going back racing, so I don't know what you're talking about. But here we are. The round of 12 ended with the wet race at Charlotte. The first time the Cup Series is run in the rain since the 50s, they said, first official race in the rain. It wasn't the deluge that the Xfinity race was, and we are going to get to that. But what did you think seeing the Cup cars on rain tires in a race for the first time?
It was really nice to see. I hope that this means that they're willing to bring out that rain tire a little more frequently. As we all know, NASCAR is plagued by weather while we're at its mercy. So I really want to see them try to develop this tire into possibly even a speedway tire. I know they probably got a long way to go, but let's hope that that's where they're going.
See, I watched the Xfinity race on Saturday, and I'm watching the cars. They're 3 wide on the, actually up there on the banking, coming through Oval 1 and 2, as we called it. And the spray is coming off the back of the cars. And I'm sitting there and I'm looking at this. I'm like, you know what? I have preached so much against oval rain tires, but now I'm watching them do rain tires on kind of an oval. I kind of want to see what they can do with this because this looks kind of cool. Not going to lie. There's a lot that has to be done, obviously, with this tire. The rain tire they used on Saturday and Sunday had been made in 2019. They're probably going to have to make a lot more of them because now we're going to be doing road courses 6 times a week or 6 times a year. But I really do want to see them develop the rain tire into something that could possibly be used at Maybe not a sharp, maybe not like a Daytona or Talladega. I do not want to see those tracks in the rain. They can't drive those tracks in the dry. And you want them to go around there in the rain? No, sir. They're already demo derbies. But like a Martinsville.
We like it.
Oh, Tony Stewart would love it. And trust me, he'd love it. And then they go the opposite direction. Then he'd really love it after that. There's a famous Tony Stewart rant about us not wrecking enough cars at super speedways that is a reference to. But maybe at like a Martinsville or Richmond, flat ovals with decent drainage where it's not going to put that much heat in the tire, because the problem with the tire when you get into rain tires is heat and G-forces. And there's a lot of G-forces that are put on a slick radial tire that they use right now. It would be even worse in the rain with how tough they have to make the wet weather tire. But I think it's something that they could play with, and we can just cut down on a lot of these races that go to Monday or Tuesday, Yeah. Excuse me. And and Taryn in the chat says, "What does he think? What do we think of Chase Elliott's wins at the Rovals? At the Roval, he went back to back. Christopher, I honestly think he's becoming the new king of the road courses in NASCAR. I really do.
Yeah, there was an article on NASCAR.com earlier this week, and they just kind of previewed all of who we consider to be road course aces. And I'm reading that list, and obviously Jeff Gordon is number one. It's going to take a lot to take down his 9 wins. But Jeff Gordon in his whole career has 9 road course wins. Chase Elliott has already got 5. I think at the end of the day, if Chase Elliott keeps on going where he's going, you're looking at the best road course racer of all time.
Taryn, sorry, got to work. I don't know how I've regressed on that, but Taryn is when they asked us that question, and I honestly think he's going to push that number mainly because there's a lot more road courses now. I mean, when Jeff raced, we only had 2 a year, which was the racetrack in Watkins Glen and Sonoma. He didn't really get to race the Roval. Now we have 6 a year starting next season. So there's a lot more chances to run at road courses. And I think that's going to make drivers like Chase Elliott more dangerous. And in the Xfinity Series, that's going to make a driver like Austin Cindric a lot more valuable. Because we've seen him run road courses in Xfinity, Christopher, and it's just not fair how deep he can brake, how he can sling these cars around the corners. He is the Xfinity Series road course ace, and he's going to challenge eventually when he gets to Cup on those road courses.
Yeah, I think, the other thing about Cindric is he's got a great car, too. So, hats off to that team that prepares that car for him, because a driver realistically can only do as much as that car can what that car can do. He gets every ounce out of that car, but hats off to Team Penske. They put together a great car for him.
Yep. And they've done that week in and week out. They definitely had to put together a good car on Saturday. I know you didn't get a chance to watch this race, but that was a torrential downpour that the Xfinity Series raced in on Saturday. Hats off to all the drivers that finished that race, because I have no idea how NASCAR was able to get that race in. The rain at one point was so strong, and we've seen this happen in IMSA, where the rain is so strong that it overpowers the rain tires and you just have to stop. They had that rain, had to stop for 38 minutes, came back, and it feels like the rain was never stopped from that level, but at that point it's, look, we got the rain tires. People are going to be mad at us if we call this race. Y'all just going to have to deal with it. Somehow they dealt with it. Somehow they got those cars around that track. And Christopher and everyone listening, y'all got to check this race out. Check this race out. It's on NASCAR's YouTube channel. Watch it. It was absolutely torrential, monsoon-like rain. These cars are not built for rain. They're really not. And somehow they got that race through. Hats off to the Xfinity Series, guys.
Yeah, I watched some highlights out of it, and that took me right back to the 24 hours in Nürburgring a couple weeks ago. I mean, they got red flagged for quite a while. They parked, and it just looked just like that. The downpour, the tails coming off the cars. I mean, it just kind of flashed me back to that.
Yeah, and I watched that we talked about that 24 hours in Nürburgring. They got parked for the entire night, which makes sense because you don't take chances on a track like the Nürburgring. But there's a line between, and sanctioning bodies have found this line over the years when it comes to racing in the rain, between, okay, it's wet, but it's still safe, and this is just absolutely insane. And 30 years ago, like, if the 24 hours in Nürburgring and that rain, they don't stop that race. But now they do, because we've learned from there. Yep. And NASCAR, they don't really race in the rain, so they're just trying to figure this out because we haven't done road courses. They made changes between races from Saturday to Sunday on what the procedures were going to be in terms of racing in the rain. Now, we didn't get nearly the amount of water on the racetrack that we did on Saturday for Sunday, but they still did start on the rain tires, and it was still a lot of fun. Chase Elliott ends up winning that race to advance into the round of 8. Poor Kyle Busch and this Roval, though. Kyle Busch has gone to this track 3 times. He has not finished higher than 30th in any of these races. This time, contact with Clint Boyer forces him into an alternate strategy that doesn't end up working. Has to pit late. Doesn't do anything to help his playoff chances. He's out in round 2. Christopher, first thing, that when he said that he wasn't going to make it out of the round of 12, I thought he was being sarcastic. It now sounds like he was being prophetic. And second, this dude has got to hate this racetrack by now, because he just cannot find the luck at all.
Yeah, I'll start with point 2 there. Kyle Busch hates the Roval. No doubt about it. That is probably his least favorite thing to see on the schedule when he looks at it. And then to the first point, I've been working crazy. For a little backstory, I work in a grain facility, and it is harvest time, so I've been putting in crazy 80, 90-hour weeks, and my mental capacity is about 0. I already forgot what the first thing you said was, to be honest.
And of course, I have ADHD, so I also forgot the first thing that I said. So,
sorry to our listeners for that one.
Oh my gosh! I'll try to remember it. It was something about Kyle, and I'll try to come back to it. On the positive side, he did get his best career finish at the Roval. The negative is it was 30th. So, it was about the round of 12 comment. At the beginning, At the end of the round of 16, he said he wasn't going to make the round of 12. He said that when he said that, I thought he was being sarcastic. He kind of came off as prophetic after what happened with his round of 12, because it was just a disaster, much like Austin Dillon's.
Yeah, self-fulfilling prophecy is the only thing that really comes to mind for that one. But at the end of the day, I think he tried to come out and backtrack in the last week or 2 on what he said. But I think he looked at it from a realistic standpoint. He's like, okay, we got Dega, Vegas, and the Roval. I honestly have a shot at one of those. And, his brother ends up winning Vegas. And then he's looking at the Roval and Talladega and saying, okay, I'm out, Yep.
And the Talladega is what took him out, and he pretty much went into the. And the sad part is, he's usually been running well at the Roval before he gets into his trouble. He was in the top 5 this week, or on Sunday, before he ran to Clint Boyer on that restart, and everything just down spiraled from there. Pretty sure Kyle Busch just wants to set the Roval on fire at this point. And I don't mean like get on the track and set it on fire. I mean douse the whole place in kerosene and light a match type fire. Because every time he has come here, something has gone wrong, and usually it's cost him a chance in the playoffs.
Yep.
Poor
No,
guy.
I think that's just the luck this year, really.
Yeah.
I don't even know I don't think I could put into words how I feel about Kyle Busch's year this year. I don't particularly care for the guy, but what on earth is happening?
It is from what I could tell as a Jeff Gordon fan that went through this is the start of the end of his career. And it never comes gracefully. It just hits like a Mack truck. Now with Jeff Gordon, it was kind of gradual because it went from, oh my gosh, he keeps finishing second to, are we going to get a top 10 today or nah? But for a lot of these big name drivers, much like Jimmy Johnson, it's win, 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 floor. That is what's happened to Kyle Busch. It's championship, whole bunch of wins in all three series, floor. And I don't think it's coming back, but we'll see what happens.
I think we can't really this year. I don't want to say we can write it off, but I want to see what he does with practice again.
Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, we're not going to see that except for select races next season. So, that's 28 more other races that he's going to be in trouble for. But those 8 races we actually have practice and qualifying, he's going to be really good probably. I just can't wait till we get to 2022 with the new car and get this COVID behind us so we can see what's really going on with Kyle Busch, because he's one of the guys that has really been hurt by no practice, no qualifying. But for drivers like Kevin Harvick, Denny Hamlin, they are rubbing their hands together because next season is going to be really fun for them. But we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about Formula One. Lewis Hamilton wins again. And he is pretty much at the point where I would say he's the GOAT. We're also going to talk V8 supercars. Bathurst is this weekend, and a brand new supercar is coming down under, and Christopher and I are really excited for it. We'll be right back after this on the Extra Mile on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hey guys, it's Blake Henley, better known as H-Town Blake to some of you. Happy to announce that Bases Loaded is back and in full force. We'll be bringing that high heat every Tuesday night here on IE Sports Radio. So come home, get ready, dig into that batter's box, and see if you can chase that high heat, baby. So we'll be coming to you live with all the stats, all the rundowns, all the division rivalries, and every team that's going to make the playoff push to get to that one and only October and get to the pinnacle of what baseball is, to hoist that Commissioner's Trophy when it's all said and done.
Hey, what's up, sports fans? You're looking for a different type of sports talk show, something you haven't heard before? You got to check out the BS3 Sports Show every other Saturday on 2 Live Stews Radio, 1 p.m. Central Time, 2 p.m. Eastern. Sports talk at its finest. Always have great guests, playing some good hip-hop. You don't want to miss it. Make sure to tune in to the BS3 Sports Show every other Saturday at 1 p.m. Central Time, 2 p.m. Eastern.
What's good, fight fans? It's your boy, Marcus Los Great, here to give you what you want, here to give you what you need. Yeah, man. Yeah. I'm coming to you live, straight from your mama's basement with a crispy, awesome white tea. We are coming to you live every Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Welcome back to the Extra Mile here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Darryl and Christopher with you this evening. Michael Ward's not joining us, and we're sending out our prayers to Michael right now. A friend of his is not in a good way medically. Michael is taking some time off for that reason, and we just want to give our thoughts and prayers out to him. This is a tough time for my compatriot here in the DMV. He used to be here in Maryland. Now he's over in Virginia, but still thinking about him, and hopefully we will have him back next week. But this obviously takes precedent. So, Michael, if you're thinking, we're thinking about you, man, and we're definitely praying for you, buddy. Hope to see you back soon. So let's go ahead and get into the Formula One Grand Prix. I'll let you take two guesses on who won the race, and the first one doesn't count, and the second one's not either, because I'm just going to tell you. Lewis Hamilton won the Eiffel Grand Prix. Why we're not just calling it the German Grand Prix, I have no idea, but it's the Eiffel Grand Prix. You could pretty much pencil in Lewis Hamilton winning the rest of the Grand Prix until the end of the season, unless there's like any more, rule dramas, although I don't think we're going to see that. This win had significance as it became the 91st win for Lewis Hamilton, tying Michael Schumacher's record-setting mark. Barring any disasters or COVID-19 diagnosis, Lewis will break that mark at Portugal in a couple of weeks and extend it in the third race in Italy and then Turkey to finish the season. Well, that brings up a question for me that I was thinking about. As we've seen in sports, especially motorsports, the conversation of who the GOAT is a rapidly changing conversation that changes with the times as new drivers that come up and do things that we've never seen before start entering the conversation. And it's a difficult conversation to have the longer a sport goes on because of just how many names have done things that we've never seen before. Perfect example of this is baseball, a sport that has been with us since pretty much the Civil War. And a sport with 100 years of history has had dozens, and I mean dozens of players from the beginning to today that can lay claim to greatest of all time. However, that conversation is tough to have. Baseball today is a much different sport than what it was during Babe Ruth's time. And in the same place, in that same vein, Formula One is a much different sport than the time of Ayrton Senna, Phil Hill, and some of the other greats of the sport. Today's F1 cars are the most technologically advanced race vehicles that we have ever seen, that are pulling G's that are inhuman, with drivers that have exercise regimens and nutrition plans that drivers in the 60s weren't even thinking about. And while drivers back then, or especially safety, was different as well, as a lot of the greats, unfortunately, are no longer with us, but that doesn't take away from the talent that they had. But I say all this to say that it's really difficult to have a GOAT conversation because of the differences when everyone raced. But I think you can have a greatest of a generation conversation where athletes and drivers within a certain gap have competed in the sport in a close enough area to where you can have a conversation about who was better. That brings us to Michael Schumacher and Lewis Hamilton. In my opinion, Lewis Hamilton, once he eclipses this wins mark, is the new greatest of a generation in Formula One. He has eclipsed most of Michael's records by now. And even when he ran at McLaren, and yes, he only got the one championship at McLaren, he was still one of the best drivers in Formula One. In my opinion, the lows for Hamilton were not as low as when Michael Schumacher was racing, as Michael had his struggles during the later parts of his career, while Lewis Hamilton is in the later stages of his career, and it doesn't feel like he's slowing down. Christopher, what do you think of the GOAT conversation, and where would you put Lewis Hamilton as far as a GOAT conversation?
That's, well, it kind of depends. Like you were talking about generational. Try comparing, let's say like a Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, a Wilt Chamberlain. Let's put them up against LeBron. You're talking about two completely different types of basketball being played.
Yeah.
Now, you can talk about that in F1. You talk 30, 40 years ago, those cars, they wouldn't even 3 laps into a race, they wouldn't be on the same lap. Mm-hmm. So, you kind of gotta, I don't want to say you put asterisks on things, but Lewis Hamilton is definitely, he is being helped by the technology in these cars. And, however, I do think that, and like you were saying about how, falling off in the later stages of the career, let's, can we bring up Mercedes versus everybody else in that discussion? It's almost not fair, his car every week.
I think that's a fair conversation.
We can talk Ferrari, the Mercedes is a Ferrari killer, a cheating Ferrari killer.
Yeah, that's the problem.
So, I think that Hamilton is definitely deserving of being in that conversation. Kyle Busch obviously took over Petty's win record, and people in this day and age they're holding on to the last generation. Richard Petty is still the GOAT. He's still the best. Kyle Busch won Truck Series races, but Petty didn't. Or, Petty's 200 are all NASCAR. It really comes down to your personal opinion, because you can justify it any way that you want to. Now, in the end, I think I'm going to put down Hamilton as my GOAT, but in 10 to 15 years, we might be talking about him as the second best that's ever been. Mm-hmm. So, like you said, it's generational. I think in our lifetime, Hamilton is the best. And by the time that we're old and gray and ready to die, I think there's going to be a different GOAT other than Hamilton.
Yeah, we'll probably be in the same place where people are when it comes to Jordan and LeBron, with the people that saw Jordan in his time talking about Jordan's the best, people saying LeBron is the best. That is the furthest we're going to go into that conversation, because, oh boy, that could be an entire conversation on Fast Break about that debate between LeBron James and Michael Jordan and who's the GOAT. They probably had that conversation. Check them out Sundays at 8 here on IE Sports Radio on Spreaker.com.
We'll pass that torch right over to them. You guys can pick that one up for us.
Yeah, y'all handle that. My specialty is the cars that go fast in circles for several hours. Anyway, GOAT conversations, I think, are fun because we get to talk about parts of the sport. But like you said, by the time we're old, somebody else will have that status. Someone else will make Lewis Hamilton's records look silly by the time we get there, because who knows what Formula One's going to be doing in 30 years. Who knows what NASCAR is going to be doing in 30 years. We really don't know what the motorsports landscape is going to look like and what's going to be possible. So it's hard to have a GOAT conversation. I think if you bring it down to greatest of generation, it's a lot easier a conversation to have, and you can just go era to era and talk about it like that. But yeah, you said the technology. I really want to know what Ferrari was doing. Like, what were they doing that Mercedes legally built a car to race that car on parity, and they are killing the rest of the field? What were y'all doing last year, Ferrari? And can they have it back for the last couple of races of this season? Just so it can be a little bit interesting? Because, good night, the Ferrari's falling off a cliff.
Yep.
I mean, they were already off the cliff. They've now fallen off the secondary cliff into the ravine. I mean...
Yeah. Panic mode. They got to be.
Yeah. I mean, they knew they were in panic mode when they got caught cheating, and then it's like, oh my goodness. I don't even know if the cheated up Ferrari could stop this Mercedes, and that's the scary part.
Yeah, I would almost be interested to see if Mercedes almost came out and obviously not like a sanctioned race or anything, but if Mercedes just said to, the other F1 teams, hey, bring a car, whatever you want to bring, anything is on the table other than like a spike to pop our tires or something.
Mm-hmm.
Bring it, and you pick the track, and let's see if you can beat us.
It'd be a lot of fun to do after the season, but the next 2 years are going to be Mercedes dominance, and then who knows what happens after that. Lewis Hamilton may walk away after that to go and, he's been getting more environmentally conscious. Talked a little bit about that last week. So he may change and go do something else. Who knows? But we'll see. It's an interesting conversation. Hamilton is on his way to championship number 7 and potentially championship number 8. Valtteri Bottas, unfortunately, had an issue in the race, had to retire, which pretty much put the championship out of reach for him. As we look at the current standings, as soon as I can get Formula One's website to operate. Stop giving me all these ads. Anyway, Lewis has 230 points to 161 for Valtteri Bottas. It's going to take a COVID-19 diagnosis at this point for Hamilton to not win the championship because he's going to have to miss races. But we'll see. They go to Portugal next week, a track that I would really like to see on the schedule full time. I've raced that track in Project Cars 2. It's actually really fun on the Portimao circuit in Portugal. So I did mention, I keep calling them V8 supercars because that's what they were when I was introduced to them, but the Virgin Atlantic Supercars series, or supercars, they're going to Bathurst this week for the Bathurst 1000 to end a shortened season for them due to the COVID-19 pandemic. I feel like I've been saying that a lot this year, but that is the breaks. They are ending with their Super Bowl. Christopher, this is a fun race. It's also like the only race of the season that starts at a decent time here in America. It's not going to end at a decent time, but it's a lot of fun, and it's an endurance race for these cars. Some 6 hours to go 1,000 miles around this racetrack. I can't wait, and it's a track that's going to test everybody. This is going to be a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, I am stoked for this. This is, maybe one or two. I'll catch one or two other races throughout the year, and I'll watch them live. But that can change depending on what's going on in life and stuff. But this race is the one where I'm like, okay, calendar is cleared, and do not disturb. So I am excited. I am so glad that they were able to get this in, and yeah, like you said, it's just it is exciting for all of us who like the V8 supercars. To me, they will always be V8 supercars. I do not like the VASC hashtag. Yeah, I am stoked to say the least.
It's going to be a lot of fun. And during this week, we actually got an announcement from the Virgin Atlantic Supercar Series that the Gen 3 cars are going to be coming in 2022. They are going to be hybrid ready, which is starting to show the global shift in motorsports towards hybrids. But the most important part, the new Mustang and the new Camaro, as Holden is going away, look really, really good. Christopher, you saw the cars earlier. I saw the release today. What do you think, man?
To me, and I told you in the pre-show, that Camaro, and if for those of you listening, even if you don't like V8 supercars, please do yourself a favor and go look up the NASCAR Xfinity Series Cup car, the NASCAR Cup Series, NASCAR Xfinity Camaro, the NASCAR Cup Series Camaro, and then please do yourself a favor. Look up the Supercars Camaro. It'll put a smile on your face. That is a beautiful car, and it is instantly my favorite Camaro on the track.
I would share it on Twitter for you guys to look at, but Twitter is I have no idea what's going on with Twitter today, but it ain't working is the best way to put it. So I'll have to share that at some point later. Yeah, but the cars look great. They look a lot closer to their counterparts on the street than the NASCAR Cup Series cars do, or NASCAR Touring Series cars do, for good reason, because those cars need to be durable on the oval. But if you can just take that car, take the wing off it, put a spoiler on it, and just ship that to America, I will take that for the next gen car. I mean, that thing is gorgeous. It really is. But there's one piece of the release that I read and I just kind of chuckled at. They said they want to put more into the driver's skill and less into the engineering side of the sport. Buddy, if I had a nickel for every time I've heard that in a motorsports press release in the last 10 years, this change jar I got behind me would be overflowing with nickels. All I can say is good luck. I don't know how you put that genie back in the bottle. There are people smart with different degrees than I. They're going to try and figure this out. But when the laptops came out in NASCAR, you knew that battle was over. So the only thing I can say is good luck.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Let's look at Ferrari, Mercedes. You know, they're going to do whatever they can to take that power out of the driver and put it back into the engineering.
Yep.
So it's just a moot point. Why even? I didn't read the press release, but if I had, I would have chuckled at that too.
And Formula One, they're like, we're going to take the downforce back. They get the downforce back by the fourth race of the season. Every time they take downforce out. These people are far too smart for this. Like, there are...
Yeah, the best way to combat that is you gotta like tell them you can't employ engineers anymore.
Yeah.
You know, go pick out a car off any dealership lot you want, and that's what you race. Just paint some numbers on it.
Yeah, like the fight is. This is a fight that the sanctioning bodies aren't going to win because it's already over. These people are far too smart. Even right now, with the next gen rules for Formula One, the teams are working right now to get all that downforce back for 2022 that they have lost with these new changes. And it's not a slight against the sanctioning body. It's just how smart these people are. I mean, and they're employed to be that intelligent. I'm not hating on them. I mean, we may not like it because it makes the racing not as good, but especially Formula One, that has always been an engineer's game, and the engineers today are some of the brightest minds in motorsport. So more power to them. Cannot wait to see how long it takes them to get the downforce back this time. It'll probably be, like I said, first 4 races, but we'll see. Generally, we're both positive on the new Virgin Atlantic Supercar Gen 3 car. The hybrid part did strike me. It really shows where we're going to have to go. A lot of people aren't going to like it, but if you want motorsports to survive, hybrid power and more likely hydrogen power are going to be the future.
Yeah, I agree. And like I said, either last week or the week before, I'm all for it. You know, if you think about the supercars, they're racing on road courses. So you take that hybrid and with, you know, for everybody that listens to this, you're probably a car person or at least have some basic knowledge. But the combustion engine is so inefficient. Like, it is ridiculous how inefficient a combustion engine is. Don't quote me on this, but something like, I think it's like 80% of all the energy is heat energy, which is worthless. The heat is bad for an engine. So then you take these electric motors, the hybrids. You've got instant torque, 100% efficiency. That's why they say, if you can melt the tires off a Prius because maybe not a Prius, but a Tesla for sure. That's two different games right there. But yeah, I'm all for the electric, especially in series like supercars where you're tight corners, road course type situations. In NASCAR, when we go to Daytona or Talladega, you don't need the hybrid. Bring a combustion engine, but for road courses in Martinsville and Bristol, bring those hybrids. I want to see what they can do.
And somehow they'll figure out a hybrid to work at, Daytona and Talladega. They may just have to unrestrict them so they can actually brake. Push some grandstands back a little bit if y'all do that. Not going to lie. But seriously, it's coming, and the new hybrids on the racetrack are so much more efficient. And people complain about, the lack of noise. All of that noise that we like is inefficiency. Like, that is not how an efficient engine operates. The quieter the machine is, the more efficient it is. That's why the turbo diesels for Audi were so quiet, yet they were breaking Le Mans records. The Toyota, same difference. They were really quiet, but they're the fastest Le Mans prototype of all time. The new hydrogen prototypes in 5 years that are coming, because that's the next step at Le Mans, you're barely going to be able to hear the engine, and they're going to be setting times that you're going to do double, triple takes at. And yes, for us, and people like, myself and Christopher, it is going to take some getting used to. It really is. But once we get over that hurdle, it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. I love the advancement of a technology in motorsports, and I can't wait to see where it goes next. But we're going to take... go ahead.
Maybe, Darryl, where we're going to go is speakers on the outside of the car to mimic engine noises.
They might have to do that. They might actually have to do that for safety reasons, actually. Just for people to make sure that another car is there. So that might actually be a thing. So we'll see how that goes. But we're going to take another break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the round of 8. We're going to give our picks on who we think are not going to make the round of 8 for nearest the win, and get you ready for the first race at Texas. Good night. The first race at Kansas. We'll be right back after this on the Extra Mile on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's up, everybody? This is Darren Rodriguez. Are you a fan of volleyball? Are you a fan of Thunder Spikes? Then I have the show for you. Set Point, where I cover NCAA men's and women's volleyball, high school boys and girls volleyball, beach volleyball, and even professional volleyball. Catch the action every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Attention, all sports fans! If you're someone who wakes up each morning with lists of sporting events to go along with your to-do list for the day, then you just might be a diehard. The world of sports is as vast as the ocean is deep, including the major leagues, the minor leagues, the college, and everything in between. This is me, your boy Larry B of IE Sports Radio, welcoming you to join me every Monday evening at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern on The Defining Moment, a show that focuses on what really matters in the sports world, sports themselves, and nothing outside of them. Once again, tune in for The Defining Moment with me, your boy Larry B, every Monday evening at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern on IE Sports Radio, right here on Spreaker.com. We'll see you there.
We all got the points for Chase Elliott. We're going back in. And we're back here on the Extra Mile on IE Sports Radio. Your feed for all that is sports. As you hear in there, we're talking about nearest the win as we are closing in on the final stages of that game. We got to figure out when the stopping point is going to be, actually, due to what's going on with the program, because we're going to be stopping once the NASCAR season stops, because Formula One is kind of set in stone. And right now, I have a 4-point advantage in nearest the win. I've never won the nearest the win since we've been doing this, so I'm nervous-sided that I can finish this off and actually be a fantasy nearest the win champion. We'll see what happens. But now it is time to get into the round of 8. And this is always the round of the playoffs where the nerves are the rawest and the temperatures of the drivers are the highest. Because there are 8 drivers that are going to start this round this weekend at Kansas. When we get to Martinsville on November 1st, when that race ends under the lights, because we can't start these races at noon anymore, there are going to be 4 drivers that are going to be spending the rest of the off season and that last weekend in Phoenix thinking about, it should be me going to all these championship media days. It should be me with the playoff stuff on my car. It should be me challenging for a championship. And they're going to be rethinking everything over the last 34 races that they could have done better to put themselves in a situation to make the championship 4 at Phoenix. For 4 drivers, it's going to be a ticket to a chance at immortality. And this is where the gloves come off. It becomes all take between the championship 8, and somebody's going to be in a fist fight at Martinsville when all this is said and done. This is the sanest round of the playoffs, 2 mile-and-a-halfs and a short track, Kansas and Texas, and then Martinsville to end it. But Christopher, that doesn't mean the racing is going to be sane. It's going to be crazy.
Oh, without a doubt. You're looking Martinsville. I think that's one we've all had circled for a while. And look at it just 2 years ago, Logano and Truex. He might have won the battle, but he ain't going to win the damn war. Mm-hmm. Guess who won the damn war? Logano. So, yeah, I'm excited for this. I think Martinsville is a great place to end this particular round. I think Martinsville is the perfect choice. I had kind of been thinking, what about Bristol? But I think Bristol is good for the round of 16 when you got a lot more people in contention for those top 12 spots. This year it wasn't the case. The Roval, obviously, I think we just write that all off as Chase Elliott's win. Yeah. So that's not, but Martinsville. Oh man, this is anybody's whose name is Martin Truex Jr.
Martinsville is going to be a throw down. And I always make the joke that they need to start bringing a UFC ring to that race. I'm not joking this time. NASCAR, Steve, whichever one is, ahead of this, O'Donnell or Phelps, y'all need to go ahead, call Dana White right now, have him bring a ring to Martinsville, and when this race is over, just throw the guys that are mad at each other in it and have a little UFC fight after the race. Because this is going to be a Martinsville race for the ages. And I know this is Kansas this week, but we're jumping to Martinsville because it's a short track, because of the tempers it brings, because of how important that race is going to be. It's a race that everyone is looking at from the moment they start their engines this week. And at the end of Sunday, there is going to be one driver that is going to be happy that they are going into Martinsville, not having to worry about anything. And it'll probably be a Hendrick Motorsports driver because they have been doing very well at this racetrack the last few years. And wouldn't it be something to start some championship momentum for Chase Elliott to go back-to-back winning at the Roval and at the Kansas Speedway this weekend?
Yeah, I would have to agree. When we come down to nearest the win, I'm going to be debating heavily between those two Hendrick drivers. Call me a homer because Alex Bowman's my guy, but Hendrick has been doing their mile-and-a-half program has been great, and Kansas in particular has been good for both those drivers.
Mm-hmm. We've also seen this was where Joey Logano and Matt Kenseth got into it, which led to that epic moment in 2015 that ended up helping Jeff Gordon win that race when Matt Kenseth just came back on the track and destroyed Joey Logano going into turn number 1. That was fun to watch. Matt Kenseth got suspended. He did not care. I guarantee you he did not care, because that whole playoffs, he had been getting into it with the Xfinity series, or with that team. With Penske, sorry.
I got a notification that maybe Twitter's finally working, so I was checking that out. Twitter's my lifeline.
Yeah,
that was. I still. My wife is a Logano fan, so I kind of like him a bit too, maybe a little, but yeah, that's some good promotional stuff right there that Martinsville hit, isn't it?
Yep. I mean, I don't hate Joey Logano as much as everybody else does. Like, people just cannot stand the dude, and I don't get it. Like, yes, he races people aggressively, but that's half the top drivers in the sport. Yes, he may run into your driver a lot, but I don't hate him for it.
Yeah, I have to agree. Look at Dale Earnhardt, the Intimidator. Looking back, everybody loves him, but I know for a damn fact that when he was alive and racing, people hated that guy. My dad was one of them. My uncle was one of them. My uncle is a big time Rusty Wallace fan. So nothing needs to be said there.
Yeah.
I think there was a story that he was telling on the Dale Jr. download about how they got Dale really ran into Rusty one time, and then after the race, Rusty's all PO'd in his trailer. Dale comes knocking on the door and says, "Hey, I just want to say you're welcome." Rusty goes, "What, for wrecking me?" He goes, "No." He goes, "I just sold you a boatload of T-shirts."
I used to hate... I'm a Jeff Gordon fan, so I did not like that black number 3, but I honestly think Senior was doing that stuff on purpose, because at one point he owned the T-shirt business, and he knew, okay, the more I run into people, the more people are either going to choose my side or they're going to choose the other driver's side. Either way, we're going to make a whole lot of money. And when him and Jeff Gordon started getting into it, and he saw how many people were buying Jeff Gordon shirts and how many people were buying his shirts against the Jeff Gordon shirts, he's like, you know what? We're going to run each other hard. We're going to get in fights on Sunday, and then we're going to laugh to the bank on Monday and go cash these T-shirt checks. So the man was smart.
Yeah. And if there's like, I'm a big time diecast collector. I've got a lot of them, and someday when my man cave's done, I'll have pictures on my Twitter. But if anybody's really curious about the NASCAR merchandising and just the behemoth moneymaker it's become, I really recommend you guys check out the Dale Jr. download episode with Rusty Wallace, because like that little story that I had just told, it's just full, and Rusty is just admiring how good of a marketer that Dale Earnhardt Sr. was. And if you're curious, I highly recommend it, because it was such a good episode.
It really was. And I'm going to go check that out, as well as we just got a notification, and I know we're not the basketball show, but Twitter is actually working now, so it's flashing up on my feed. Apparently, the NBA season is going to start on my birthday next year, January 18th. So happy birthday to me. Get to watch some NBA basketball kick off. That's fun.
Does it say who's tipping off for it, or? They
don't know yet. I don't even know how they're going to do the schedule, how many games. I have no idea how that season's going to work. Good luck to y'all.
Yeah, if you're curious about that, tune in on Sundays at 8 o'clock.
Yeah, Sundays, 8 o'clock, fast break. They will have you covered when it comes to that. But we got 6 minutes to go, so of course we got to do picks here. Nearest the win, only one series we're picking today. It is NASCAR. And we're going to pick who's going to win and who is not going to make the Final Four. So that is the thoughts we're going to do. Did you have something to say before we go on?
Yeah, just a quick interjection. Are we just both assuming that McLaughlin's going to win the Bathurst?
Yes.
Okay, fair enough. Nearest the win, I picked McLaughlin.
Yeah, I also picked McLaughlin. We're probably not going to get that race for nearest the win, but, that's who we think is going to win. As far as Kansas, I'm going to go with... I took Chase Elliott last week. Dang it. I'm actually going to go with another Hendrick driver. I'm going to go Alex Bowman. I think he's actually going to win. No, wait, I can't go Alex. Here's the problem. I have Alex Bowman as the winner and the guy that I think is going to be one of the first 4 out, which isn't going to work. So I'm going to ride with Bowman to win the race. My 4 out are going to be Joey Logano, Martin Truex Jr., Kurt Busch, and Brad Keselowski. But I would not be surprised if Keselowski survives. So my 4 out are Keselowski, Bowman, Truex, and Kurt Busch. Bowman is my winner, and Keselowski, Logano, Truex, and Kurt Busch will be out. So those are my picks. Christopher, who you got?
Man, why'd you should have let me go first, because now people are just gonna think I'm copying you. Yeah, like I said, I think Hendrick is just too good at Kansas, and even if it's not Bowman winning, it's going to be Chase Elliott. But because I can't pick Chase Elliott, and because as an Alex Bowman fan, I know how he runs at Kansas, and just keep your eyes on him, because if he doesn't win it, I can tell you that he's going to be up there in that top 5 all day. So Bowman's going to be my pick at Kansas. And then my 4 out, let me walk over to my computer quick where I got the thing up. I'm pacing to stay awake.
Yeah, once this show ends, he's going straight to sleep.
Yeah. Let's see. Harvick Hamlin. So Harvick Hamlin, definitely going to be in. So I'm going to say, okay, so Busch out. Truex, between Truex or Logano, one of them is going to win Martinsville, guaranteed. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to go Truex just because he is so dominant on that track. So Kurt Busch out, Joey Logano out, Keselowski out, and I really want to take out Harvick or Hamlin, but I think their points advantage is just too high, and they know it. All they got to do is finish good and get some stage points, and they can points their way in. So
they'll advance, I think, with how many points they have, because Harvick's got 67, Hamlin's got 54 bonus points. They will point in probably at the end of Kansas. So it would take something monumental for either of them to get knocked out.
You know what? I'm going to go Hamlin. I don't think Hamlin makes it. I think
really?
Harvick. So my picks are going to be Harvick, Chase Elliott, Truex, and Bowman is your final 4. And hear me out.
Hamlin, not Harvick, right?
Hamlin out, Harvick in.
Okay. So for
yeah, and I want to explain myself on this one. So I'm going to have Truex win Martinsville. So that takes off 1 win. I'm going to have Bowman win Kansas. And I don't even know who I'm going to pick as the Texas. But it doesn't matter because that's 2 of 4 spots. And I think that Harvick is guaranteed 1. And then at Texas, I wouldn't be surprised to see a Keselowski or a Chase Elliott win it. And then you've got one guy, one of the big 2 that they got to point their way in. So I'm going to say Hamlin out on this one.
Okay. So, and that's interesting. One of the big 2 all year. Christopher does not think he's going to make the playoffs. That would hurt for Hamlin to not make that. I really think he wants this championship more than anything after how last year's went. But him nor Harvick had the strongest round 2, but at the same time, they didn't need to. Well, no, Hamlin did win at Talladega, so let me take that back. But they really didn't need to show much to go through to the next round, so they didn't really need to do much. But we'll see what happens. But it is time for us to say goodnight for this episode. Remember, Christopher's at Fiji Sims. I'm at DK Jr. 12. If Twitter is working tomorrow, check us out if you want to talk to us. Give us a shout. Make sure you follow all the iSports Radio social media pages on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and the website, www.isportsradio.com. Any episode of any iSports Radio show that you missed can be heard anywhere where podcasts can be heard. This week, this Saturday, twitch.tv/Tornado Dash, the Saturday Night Hydroplane League returns with the Dixie Cup from the virtual Lake Gunnersville in Alabama. I will be commentating and racing in that event, so check me out on twitch.tv/Tornado Dash. We'll be getting started around 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time for that race, so check that out.
Also, I got a quick question before we head out, Darryl.
Yes.
You commentated and raced last weekend, right?
Yes.
How did that go for you? Do you think that your racing and or commentating kind of fell off a little bit as a result of the other?
Let's just say last week the commentary was better than my racing, but I got some things figured out for this race this coming on Saturday, so it should be a little bit better. Commentary is probably going to be better than the racing, though. We'll see what happens. And also,
if you want to pick it nearest the win for that race, I'm going with Darryl.
Yeah, you're going to lose some points on that one. You want to watch Carson Kelly. He's an 11-year-old in there. He's the youngest competitor. His dad is 9-time actual H1 Limited race car drive or race winner. Excuse me. J. Michael Kelly. He drives the U12 Ram trucking in real life. So you're going to want to watch out for Carson if he's online on Saturday. That's going to be a lot of fun. Also, since we're talking about it, go to the UHL Hydroplane League YouTube. I tweeted this out. I actually did commentary for the Saturday Night Hydroplane League Division 1 final that they put together. They put together that video. I dubbed my voice over it. Go watch that and give them a like as well. Just want to give them another quick shout out as I could do that this weekend. Also, if you want to hear me ramble on more about racing, Tuesdays, 2 p.m. on WBGR Sports on Facebook. 2 Wide Tuesday, where I talk all things NASCAR and dirt track racing, although the dirt track racing is coming to an end, so it's mainly NASCAR right now. But check that out as well. And with that being said, that is the end of this episode. For Christopher, I'm Darryl. This has been The Extra Mile, and we will see you guys at the next green flag. Good night, everybody.